Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey. Hope everybody's doing good. Karl Bryan coming at you for Business Coaching Secrets. I'm here sans Road Dog today, but have a long weekend where he's at, and we don't stop at Business Coaching Secrets nor Focus.com for long weekends, so we are soldiering ahead, but my boy will be back next week. But good news, he has sent me a couple of questions. Actually, he sent me a number of questions, so I'm gonna hammer through them and see how we go. So the first one, he basically, I was talking about Zen. It was some time ago. I'm gonna say a month or two ago, and I was talking a little bit about Zen. So he has sent me a message and said that he wants me to talk about going all Zen. And I said I can handle that, but I will preface this with I don't know. In fact, I am positive I am not the best person to be speaking on this topic. There are people 100%, 1,000 times as qualified and intelligent in this area. But that said, I am on a little bit of a journey myself, trying to. I don't know that mellow out is the right way to say it, but I most certainly am trying to get a little bit more centered and a little bit more, connected to. I don't know. I'm trying to become a little more Zen. Hopefully that says it all. So that said, you ask me to talk about Zen. I would start with this. Look, financially successful people don't go to a Buddhist monk and ask them for directions. Financially successful people go to Buddhist. Financially successful people go to Buddhist monks for direction. But Buddhist monks don't go to financially successful people and ask for direction. That's what I was trying to say. Take with that what you will, but I think that there's a little bit of magic in that. So I'm thinking about Zen. I'm thinking about, again, where do you actually want to end up, right? And this, you're serving your high-end coaching clients, and I think that there's an obligation to help them get what they need, as opposed to what they want, right? Like if you go advertising Zen for business clients, for dentists, chiropractors, Zen for local business owners, I don't know that you're going to have a big take up. I don't know that a lot of people are going to be overly interested in that. No doubt some will, but a lot won't. So I don't know it's the best front end marketing, as in what they want. What they do want is they want leads. They want more conversions. They want more clients. They want, larger, more margins. They want higher profits. They want to accomplish they want to hit 7 figures this year, right? But if you guys have listened to the podcast at all, you will know how bad of a goal that I believe that to be. Again, you're trying to hit 7. You give me a room of 100 people, 100 entrepreneurs, and I'll introduce you to 80 people that want to hit 7 figures this year. Right? And remember, 96% of business owners don't get the 7 figures. So if you've got a room of 100 people, likely you have 4 people that are over $1 million, and the others are trying to crawl and scratch their way to it. But it's a horrible goal because they can accomplish their goal, get to $1 million, and then lose money. Right? So what I want to see, how about a $500,000 business and $250,000 of profit? Now that's cool, right? So if you've followed us, you've heard me talk about that. I think really, really important. That's an example of delivering what they want, or offering what they want and then delivering what they need, right? I think Stoicism and Zen probably falls under that category. Arthur Brooks is somebody who very, very powerful. He actually teaches a class at Harvard on happiness. And yes, that's a thing. And he often talks about making yourself small. How do you do that? Meditate, make yourself small. Pray, make yourself small. Become more spiritual, make yourself small. Read Stoicism, right? Like if you read a book by Ryan Holiday on Stoicism, it's if you read for an hour of Ryan Holiday, I believe that you've just had very similar to a 1 hour meditation. And if you're anything like me, and maybe meditation is something that doesn't come naturally, this might be a way that you might be able to combat that. But remember, the person that has the hardest time going to the gym will get the most out of the gym. The person that has the hardest time straightening out their diet will get the most from straightening out their diet. The person that struggles the most with meditation is the person that will get the most out of meditation, right? So again, your client will say, I don't want to do that. That's not for me. It doesn't work. Well, you might want to persist a little bit, because that client might be the one that just, this is the needle mover. This is the thing that gets them over the hump and all of a sudden gets that snowball, rolling downhill, where the sales come, the staff come, the business comes, the 7-figure happens, the profit margins increase, something that resembles scale comes into their world. So anyways, and again, make yourself small. Like I've said in my email multiple times, in a powerful exercise that I would recommend, stare at yourself in a mirror for an hour straight. Try it. It's probably involves some tears. It will be very, very, it will start very short. It will start very slow and then finish kind of fast, if you know what I mean. And by the way, you probably can't get an hour. So I would encourage you to start with 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Very powerful exercise. Very powerful. Look up at the stars. Lay on. You probably did this as a kid. Lay down, look at the stars, and then, I don't know, just really wow. Like, I am a very small nothing burger in the grand scheme of things. Or dive deep into your mortality. Again, death meditation. I talked about that not too long ago. That is a thing. Very, very. I did a course many, many years ago, 7 days, no phone, couldn't leave, very, high level, like a lot of Hollywood type folks go there. I was doing it with, a guy who was, pretty famous. I know exactly who it was when I walked in the room. But anyways, one of the things that we did is we went to a cemetery. And we chose a gravestone, or what do you call it? Like a grave site, and delivered your own obituary over top of yourself. Again, very, very, very meaningful process. But, you asked me about Zen. These are the types of things that might, tapping into your mortality might just feel like it makes you small, and might be a very valuable. Again, if it's something that, as I talk about it, it sounds hard and it sounds uncomfortable and maybe makes you a little bit anxious. If it does that for your coaching client, they might just be the person that would absolutely get the most out of it. And I've recommended this lots, but make a list of things that you want. Make a list of 3 things that you want. Actually, make a list of things you want, because it wouldn't be 3, it'd be like multiple. These things that you want, it's the car, it's the house, it's the holiday, it's the partner, it's the, do. Now make a list for each one of them. Create a top 10, write as many as you can, create a top 10 of things that you really, really want. And then what I recommend is make, 3 reasons why you don't need them, right? That right there, think of a things I don't want strategy as opposed to a things I want strategy. Because what do most people do? They do a dream board. Hang on. Wanting nothing attracts everything. Should preface this, right? Again, there's nothing worse than a salesman with commission breath, right? When you really, really need that sale, that's when you can't make it. When you really, really want that business, that's when it doesn't happen. You want to get into so things just start to fall into place. And you've been there. Michael Jordan would describe it as the zone. He would fall into the zone, right? And he couldn't miss. I mean, it happened all the time. Halfway through the 3rd quarter, the 4th quarter, you look at his shooting percentages, and it went up dramatically in clutch situations. That said, he missed. I mean, there's a famous commercial where he talks about how many shots he missed, right? My question, how many shots have you missed? If I go look at your Facebook profile as an example, if you may sell on that, and maybe you don't, and that's cool. But if you do, how many offers would I see, right? And I think you'd probably, if you're trying to sell on social media, I think you might find that you're a little bit disappointed with the number of offers that you're making. Why? You're not scared of failing. You're scared of failing in public, right? And remember, you didn't fail. You fell down. Just keep going. So anyways, that's, that's, look, making yourself small is kind of where I'm trying to go there. And I do believe that can be very, very powerful for you and, specifically your high-end clients. And, like, you can't love yourself. You can't love something more than you love yourself, right? And I would preface that, or I would complete that with, you got to do the work, right? Like, I don't know, go to bed and say thank you. Wake up in the morning and say thank you. I would dare say that that would make gratitude a foundation for you. And tell me, is gratitude as a foundation, would that make you a more powerful person? Would that make you more or less like the individual that needs nothing and gets everything, right? They say suffering ends when gratitude begins. Again, I don't know. And by the way, look, this is a journey that I'm going on. Am I perfect? Do I go to bed every night, and do my gratitude exercise? Do I wake up in the morning and do my gratitude exercise every morning? The truth is, I do try to do it consistently, but the reality is that I'm so far from perfect on this, but I'm on a journey. These are the types of things that I'm working on. And I will tell you that when I do it, I feel a little more, there's a lightness to me that is not often there, right? And by the way, like anxiety, that is something I am I don't know that I'm an anxious individual, because I can tell you that people that know me very well, they're very surprised when I say that anxiety is something that I kind of struggle with a little bit. But I will tell you this, that the root of anxiety is feeling unsafe, right? Okay, so do you believe that? And I absolutely do. What you got to do is make a list of things that make you feel safe, right? So what makes you feel safe? A lot of the more masculine males in the room, you're going to find that you have a fear of losing it all, right? Well, make a list of things that you can do and can control that's going to allow you to not lose it all. Because remember, it's easy, you can get lucky and make it. You can't get lucky and keep it. What does your strategy look like for keeping it? Right? There's a old money equals never sell. You introduce me to a family with old money, and I'll introduce you to a great-great-grandfather that never sold, or a great-great-grandmother that never sold, right? That's where old money comes from. Because remember, what most people do is they sell their house to get the cash. And then I say, well, why don't you just draw against the house? You know what I mean? Like, no doubt, if you've owned the house for any period of time, you got equity, walk into the bank and say, look, I need $100,000 and I'd like to borrow it against my own house. So now you still own the house and you got the $100,000. Why were you going to sell the house to get the $100,000? Why did you need the $100,000 to start the company, to invest, to put it here, there, or maybe you needed, whatever you needed to use it with, right? So I don't know, make a little bit, like, make a game plan, right? Like, have a plan for when the rainy day comes. Like the economy has been on steroids for a very, very long time, which is crazy, by the way, pandemic and all the rest. But the reality is there will be a turn. Don't you worry about that. There's very few guarantees in life, and that's one of them. Things are cyclical. So I would encourage you to maybe make a list, define feeling unsafe, and then define feeling safe, and then journal on what you can do about it. Do this with your client. And they haven't taken the time to realize that this is a challenge for them. And because they think about retirement and they've got some crazy number, or they've got some crazy number of things that they want, like, oh, I need $10 million. I need this many, millions of dollars. And it's like, well, why do they want $10 million? Because they want to be free, because they want to have options. They want to be able to make make decisions not based on the financial reality or financial hindrance. Is that my working that well? But you know what I mean, like financial limitations, right? Well, they probably need an insanely lower amount of money to retire than they realize, right? Like they want to own the sports car. Well, if you understand fractional ownership, they could go and buy the Porsche and own it for own it. Get a partner. You know what I mean? Like if you know anything about it, I've owned, all the supercars, start with L and P and et cetera. I've owned the supercars. I'm going to tell you that you're going to drive it significantly less than you think. And it is amazing. And I've had, you know what I mean? Nothing like hitting that gas pedal and going, but why don't you buy it with a friend? Maybe buy it with 4 friends, because you're really not going to need it that much, right? And you still get the juice. You still get, that feeling. Maybe, and by the way, why don't you just rent it? Why don't you just lease it for the 2 months in the summer? Right? Rather than owning it. But these are the types of things that you could go and look at strategy for you, for your client. I don't know. I think it's just when I'm thinking about, zenning, I'm feeling relaxed. Okay. Well, when I go spend significantly more on a car, when you buy a Lamborghini, I'll give you the red hot tip, depending upon, model, make, year. Yes, they do appreciate, but very few of them do, right? The reality is you're going to spend 300 grand on a car and you're going to sell it for 200 grand a number of years later. Right? Is that fair? Well, that's if you're worried about losing it all, well, that's a horrific strategy, right? Take that 300 grand, put a down payment on a condo or, a piece of real estate. By the way, hang on, I said something important, condo. I wouldn't recommend you buy a condo. Land appreciates, building depreciate. If you want to make money in real estate, you buy dirt, you buy land. The land is where the money is, not in the condo. Right? Like I know people that they buy a condo and then they refer to themselves as a real estate investor. And I don't mean to laugh, right? But I got to tell you that you just bought something. Okay. So the real estate investor would probably be the guy who built the building. You know what I mean? And that's not to be too overly harsh, but I would never buy anything that involves strata. Let's put it that way, because what happens over time, that just goes up and up and up and up, eats into your margins, and you're probably not going to get that far ahead. But maybe it's a starter. Maybe it's a good starter investment. Again, I don't want to be overly harsh here, but I will tell you that dirt is where dirt appreciates, building depreciates, something to think about. You got a client who has a daycare. Okay, well, why don't, they've been operating for the last 7 years in X location, paying X rent. Well, why don't they go find a house not too far away, buy the house, build up the daycare in that house, set it up, well, and then in the future, sell the business, continue to own the dirt. And then the person who bought the company, the business from you, you lease, like you've got an inbuilt tenant that just bought your company. And believe me, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. And it's really important they make their rent payment, because otherwise you lock the door and the kids can't get in, right? Not that you want to do that, right? But there's reality. Anyways, what am I saying? Maybe, Zen. I don't know. I don't know what it means to you, right? But when I think about it, I think of, inner peace and being calm and just making decisions for the future as opposed to the moment. And again, anxiety and feelings of, unsafe and fears of the future, et cetera. These, by defining them, it's significantly easier for me to be able to combat it, to make me really, really calm. You do that with your client, really define what makes them feel unsafe. You're going to have a client that's been, and then, look, is, the alpha guy going to admit that he's anxious, that he suffers from anxiety? Probably not. But you're going to be able to you should be able to understand the dynamic, and it might not be described exactly as anxiety, but an individual that is anxious about, today and the future. Well, define them. Look, anxiety is, the root of anxiety is feeling unsafe. If you've got a client who is anxious, or you are anxious, it is feeling unsafe. Define it, and then solve it, journal on it, commit to combating it. Right. And by the way, if you do, and if you want, if anxiety, and by the way, social media is the absolute, I don't want to go into this one, right? But if you're spending too much time on social media, it's making you feel anxious. I can almost guarantee it. It's weird, but it just is, right? Okay, there's a pretty good chance you're spending too much time on social media, so maybe you're feeling a little more anxious than you should. Here's an exercise. Think of 777. Inhale for 7. Hold for 7, exhale for 7. But then I've got a hack. Okay, so if you're feeling anxious, make it 779. So in other words, you inhale for 7, hold for 7, and then exhale for 9. If you make your exhales longer than your inhales, it will scientifically proven 100% will relax you, right? So you get on a plane and you're a little bit claustrophobic and you're like, oh my God, they shut the door. And all of a sudden you start feeling like, get me out of here. I got to stand up and run. Do 779 and watch what happens. And I think you're going to find that you very quickly, almost instantly, potentially calm down. And by the way, another thing is cold plunge, jumping in ridiculously cold water can be incredible. In fact, if anybody suffers from depression, absolutely proven to increase mood. Your client, again, I don't know. Road Dog asked me to talk about Zen. I didn't plan on talking this long about it. But let me tell you, our jobs, needing nothing attracts everything. Making your client more calm and in a better headspace, I dare say, is going to help you with the results, make them feel better, make them a better husband, make them a better wife, make them a better boss, make them a better client, make them a better father, make them a better mother, etc. And I don't know. That's what business coaching is. Remember, it's 80% psychology and then 20% business a lot of the time, right? Anyway, so that's 779. That might provide some value for you. You know what? Just try it out. Wake up in the morning and do that exercise. Go somewhere, shut your eyes, and experiment. Zen, think, look, I tell you this, you become what you think, the end, right? You become what you think, the end. Okay, so now let me challenge you. What are you thinking about? Because remember, you're what you're thinking about, right? And I don't care how high end or good or bad your current situation is. You spend an enormous amount of time with the exact same thoughts. And my question: are they overly positive, overly negative? Are they overly past based or overly future based? And I've talked about this not too recent past, but make a big future for yourself. Big, nasty, awesome, audacious. And you will suddenly feel that you will feel better in the moment and your decisions will be better, right? That delayed gratification will be significantly easier because you've got that big picture. You'll make better choices. And let me tell you, if you don't know what you want, there is no exit for you. Okay? You're going down a highway and you don't know what you want. Well, there is no exit. There's no off ramp. You don't get to get off the highway. And I would suggest that you might run out of gas at some stage, so you best get off that highway. How do you do it? You got to define what it is that you want. And remember, you become what you think about. And there's a good chance that you're thinking about the things that you don't want. That's why you keep bumping into them, right? So, look, okay, hang on, but I just want to, your thoughts affect you physically, right? No doubt, the stats say, I think, and I am not a doctor and not pretending to be, but the number one reason I believe for bad health conditions, I'll let you decide what those are. Stress negatively affects physical health. No doubt you'd agree with that. Apart from genetics, I would dare say that, again, stress is the number one. So if you got a client who is stressing out, you are stressing out. You're spending, look, the past is normally negative and then the future is normally positive, way out. As you shut your eyes, if you get hypnotized, if somebody hypnotizes you, they will put the future to the left and they will put the past to the right, little FYI. So if you so you close your eyes and if you don't know that trick, there's a good chance you'll go to the right and then you accidentally go to the past, right? So I want you to when you're thinking about this and meditating, even, journaling and something, when you're thinking of the future, I want you to try to practice, look up slightly and then look to the left, not straight up at the stars, look up, at 10 degrees, let's call it, and then look over to the left, get your clients to do the same, and you're going to find that to be significantly more impactful. And by the way, when you're painting the picture for the future positively, if you see it positively affecting more people, right? Not just you, but your family, your kids, your wife, more specifically for what we're talking about, business coaching secrets, talking about businesses, their staff, the stakeholders in the business, their clients, you will find that your opportunity to move forward quickly will significantly enhance. Is that what I'm trying to say? Look up, you know what I mean? So again, more than just you to benefit. So look up slightly, look to the left for the future, look to the right for the past, look to the left for the future, make it big over to the left. Not just you, though. I want to see multiple people. The more people, quite frankly, I think the merrier. Again, people significantly more talented than I in that area, but I've done I've played in the hypnotic space. Is that a thing? I've played in the, I don't know. I know a thing or two about it, but I am not pretending to be a hypnotist. Anyways, and okay, and actually, I think I said this last week, so I apologize, but I believe it to be so powerful, right? From a positive state of energy, is that what I'm trying to say? Like when you're energetically positive, you're going to see solutions and opportunities. When you're energetically negative, you're going to see challenges and problems. Okay, so before you go look up 10 degrees and over to the left, I want you to put yourself in a positive. That's why when you go to Tony Robbins, what does he do? He gets you jumping up and down, and he gets you, you're massaging your neighbor, and then they're massaging you, and he gets you to, yes, yes, and then punch up in the air. And again, Tony Robbins, you love him, you hate him. Look, the guy knows what he's doing. That's undeniable, right? 5,000 people plus show up to watch him do. Again, you can't get somebody to watch a movie for an hour and a half and then you show up to Tony Robbins for like 50 hours. I promise you he knows something about what we're doing here in the coaching world. Best if you dislike him, put that to the side and then look to the left to be positive, right? And just, hey, maybe we should be following, maybe we should be listening. But again, from a energetically positive place, you're going to see solutions and opportunities. Again, big. That's why the bigger you see something, the easier it is to get over the road, over the speed bump, right? I can't believe I just talked this long on Zen. I don't know. But look, your goal is not to become rich. First of all, your goal shouldn't be rich. It should be wealth. Big difference, right? And if you were to ask me to define it, I think you're going to say, and I read this somewhere, saw this somewhere, don't know where, whoever said it, high five, but it's like rich is money and wealth is time, right? Like again, delayed gratification. Remember, old money equals never sell. If you got a piece of real estate, you should not be selling that bad boy. You should, sell one house and then buy the other. Redraw against the existing piece of real estate to buy the second. If you really want to get ahead in real estate, if you think about it, you got to own two properties. Otherwise, just as inflation and as the market goes up and up and up and up and up, which it has for a long time, you got to presumably go buy another house, right? So you don't win. You got to have two, and hopefully three and more. That's how you really win in real estate. But what should you do? You should never sell. Warren Buffett says he doesn't invest in a stock that he doesn't want to own forever. Something to that effect, right? Old money equals never sell. All these lessons are out there for you, me, your clients, etc. But this is the easy stuff. You just got to get the easy stuff right. You don't have to hit the home runs. Remember, the major leagues this year, right? The world championships will be won by the team that hits the most singles, not the team that hits the most home runs. Right? It's singles. And then by the way, what they do is they efficiently move the basers I can't believe I just said that. The base runners from first to second, from second to third, and third to home. That's what they do. Right? So again, it's singles and then a double. It's single. You gotta, when you hit a home run and you got somebody that hit a single, you now got two runs. If you got, obviously if you got the bases loaded, it's a grand slam, and now you got four, right? Anyway, singles. You got to get the basics right. I think for your clients, stop trying to hit the home run, hitting singles. That's why I like the software, right? If you look at the software, we're going to jumpstart 12. Those 12 areas, it's like hit a single in all 12 areas, and you get this compounding result. The numbers swell, and it's almost insane, right? And remember, and if your goal, like wealth, is time, money, really, what is the point? What's the point of wealth? What's the point of money? What's the point of, working this hard? It's to give you options, right? You can do what you want, when you want, how you want. That's freedom, right? Because remember, I don't need to meet the chiropractor, the dentist, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. They want to generate, I said this last week, they want to generate leads to get clients. They want clients to get revenue. They want revenue to get profits. They want profits to get freedom, right? Like they ultimately are looking for freedom, but they don't think of it. They're getting leads. They're buying, Facebook ads in order to get the freedom. And then I would ask you, does the Facebook ad get them towards freedom? I would dare say that the answer is no. Why? Their roadmap sucks because they haven't done the work to stop, take a step back, use things like mental models to go, okay, hang on, let me see this as a whole. Let me pull out the whiteboard. Let me pull out my remarkable tablet and draw this thing up. They're not doing that. But at the end of it, and by the way, options, which options do you want? Right? Like I moved my family, I moved my dad to Mexico. I moved myself and my family to the Caribbean. So my dad wanted to move. He's got a network there. He's been going there for a decade. He said, Dad, just move. Right? I moved to the Caribbean. I love it here. I go surfing every day. I see sharks. I see turtles. I saw a stingray this morning. I was surfing along. I saw stingrays. But that's what I want to be doing. By the way, not everybody wants that. A lot of other people have I don't have a large family. I have large families and never want to leave their small town. But tell me, what are the options? Maybe the option for you is to buy a big house so that you can move your kids in. Maybe it's a big house that the kids can come for holidays to your place and you can house the whole lot of them. Like, I don't know. What are your options? And what are your clients' options, right? Like, what is it they're ultimately looking for? But I would dare say they've never taken the time to break it down in this manner so that they know why they're waking up at 7 a.m. to go to work, right? And I think that that's freeing. Understanding the bigger picture, and not the bigger picture as in all this money in the cool car, but freedom, right? Freedom. So I don't know, inner peace. That's, hang on. Okay, so I want to go. Dalai Lama has I don't know, it's a famous quote, but it's certainly I'm going to call it a framework. And apologies to the Dalai Lama if I'm expressing this incorrectly, but I want you to think about this. Think more, feel less, right? Think more, feel less. I don't know about you. Maybe I'm getting old. I don't know, but I just found that to be absolutely profound. Like, you are not your feelings. You are not your feelings. And I would dare say, and your client is not their feelings. And I would dare say that their emotions, their feelings, right? Feeling let down, feeling insecure, feeling anxious, feeling behind, like a big one is people feeling behind. I get an email that I've sent out, different times over the years where like Ray Kroc was 52 when he started McDonald's. Colonel Sanders was 62 when he opened up his first KFC. The guy that started Red Bull, I can never pronounce his name in a million years. I believe he was, I'm going to say 60. I can't remember, but I think he was 60 odd, 60 plus. Might have been a little bit younger, but I'm pretty sure he was over 60. Bottom line, he had some gray hair. I'll give you the red hot tip. Like, he was at that age bracket. So many others, like Rodney Dangerfield, didn't get his first crack until 40, 45 in the movies, went down as a legend, right? Like, you might feel behind, but I'm going to tell you that like everything is context. So if you looked at it from a holistic standpoint, you will be able to find examples of other people significantly that we're significantly further behind where you're at. And remember, you're never going to be as young as you are right here in this moment. And a decade from today, you're going to wish horrifically that you could come back today, because you'd be like, oh my gosh, I was so much younger then, right? I got, I've got a really good friend of mine, his son, he turned 20 and he's like describing himself as old, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, are you freaking crazy? But I bet you did. Like, when you were that age, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 20. I think when I turned 21 was like, oh my heavens. When I turned 30, I thought I was over the freaking hill, right? So anyways, you're not your feelings. One of the most dangerous feelings where you make bad decisions. Okay, think of taking the stock tip from the taxi driver. Okay, one of those horrific little situations, right? Not following asset allocation. If you don't know what, like when I say asset allocation, if you don't understand, I want you to go to the internet when I'm done here, and I want you to search it. Okay, because you need to understand asset allocation in order to be wealthy. If you want to have that freedom, which I think I'm going to say that I can't say that that's Zen-like by any stretch, but I can say that for a lot of entrepreneurs, and possibly if you're listening, that having a lot of money would make it a lot easier for you to be Zen-like, right? Good, bad, and different just is. one other thing I want to say, okay, so clearly it would be powerful for you to be less judgmental, right? Clearly it would be powerful for someone you love to be less judgmental, for your coaching client to be less judgmental. And then the next level would be for them to be not judgmental at all, right? Um, but you know what the elite stance is, like the highest level, the creme de la creme, the Dalai Lama, the Dalai Lama, the Zen type stance is the not even notice. That's inner peace. And I may have said that recently. Groundedness of a grandfather. The groundedness of a grandfather. What is it? He doesn't even notice. And and if he does, he doesn't care. And it just washes over him like water in the shower, down the drain, doesn't even notice it's just happening, right? The petty crap and then the groundedness of a grandmother, the same. Just picture it. And I look, here's the question, and depending upon how, where you're at age bracket wise, maybe you could attempt to create that groundedness now. Why wait? Right? The elite stance, the creme de la creme. Where do you want to get to? What's Zen to me? Again, it's not being less judgmental. It's not being not judgmental. And certainly I've got some judgmental bones in my body. I'm human, and I'm on a journey myself. But the elite stance, right? Just a nothing. And you will notice as you've got older, you know what I mean? There's no doubt things that bother you when you were 20 and things that bother you when you were 30, things that bother you when you were 40 years old, that now today you kind of run over the top of. That would be an example of that. But my question is, what is it today that bother you? And, could you adopt that? You know what? I'm not even going to notice. Remember, like, you want to make a list of things you want to let go. What Arthur Brooks will say, the number one thing you need to let go of. And ironically, I said this to my father just a couple of days ago about politics. And I said, the number one thing you've got to let go of is your opinions. That's what holds you back. You got to let go of that story, is what Tony Robbins would tell you. But what about your opinions? Democrat, Republican, pro this, pro that. You know what? Again, just I don't know. And it's not that you shouldn't take a stance and believe in things and have values. Not saying that. Not saying that. But what I'm saying is that there's a really, really good chance that your coaching client has got way too many opinions, that needing nothing attracts everything as the frame that stops them. Like the approval of others would be like the classic approval of others. That's why they go and buy a $150,000 car when, quite frankly, the $50,000 car would have done. You take the $100,000 and put it into a piece of real estate, delayed gratification, old money equals never sell the bugger. And by the way, it appreciates by X amount. You go into the bank, you redraw against it and buy a second one. Now that's cool, right? That's cool. Way cooler than your $150,000 Mercedes is that, right? Hey, and by the way, that's me, right? I'm not here to tell anybody, and you're not there to tell your coaching client what they should and should not think. Maybe you just, you know what? Look, okay, hang on. So way back when, I remember when, I had I'll call him a mentor, right? He would be challenged with me describing it that way because we were friends and we drink a few beers. But this guy was, significant. He had, a decade and a half on me. And so, very wealthy guy. Let's put it that. Very wealthy guy, smart guy, right? And I called him, and it was about buying an expensive supercar, frankly. And he said to me, he goes, Karl, there's, of course, he gave it a bit of a circle, and that, look, I get it. You could buy it. You couldn't buy it. You can't afford it. You can pay cash for it. So it's no big deal, right? But I feel like the way you're describing it, knowing you the way I know you, I feel like you should buy this because of the way it's going to make you feel is going to help you show up bigger for the world, right? He goes, after you've owned it and maybe a few more, then I think it's going to be time to not need them. And then maybe again in 15 years in my age, you'll circle back and want to buy, you know what I mean? Something, radical and amazing to do, right? So Okay. Like one of the ultimate status symbols for you is the car that you drive. To be clear, right? It is a thing. Good, bad, indifferent. But the car that you drive says a lot about you and tells others something. But by the way, also driving a $50,000 car when you could afford a $150,000 car might also say something about you that maybe is something that you like and maybe you don't know. So I don't know, like where are you at in your journey? As I say that, you got to define it, you got to digest it, you got to make decisions in and around timing and use of capital. Like again, financially, like where are you at? And if you don't look, let me tell you this: if you don't own cash flowing assets, I think buying a supercar for hundreds of thousands of dollars is literally nuts, stupidity, irresponsible for your family. That's what I think. But I'm not, you know what I mean? That's cool. And I will tell you too, your clients, believe me, if you have made this mistake many, 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 many years ago, showing up to a small business owner's, office to try sell them business coaching in a supercar, and it didn't go well, and it was stupid. And luckily, I was smart enough to go, whoa, 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 what just happened there? And that ain't, you want to be showing up in a nice car, but something, like a nice BMW as an example, but not showy, showy, showy. I'll give you the red hot tip. So with Jordan Peterson, going to groundedness of a grandfather, what Jordan Peterson says, which I think is gold, is you want to be the person at your father's funeral that everybody automatically relies on, right? I think that's freaking cool, right? My heavens. That is the groundedness of a grandfather. That's the groundedness of the leader of the family, maybe. I don't know. Is that right, wrong? I don't know, but that, be the person at your father's funeral that everybody organically, naturally relies on to get, stuff done, which is a lot, right? And okay, I can't believe I just talked long on this. Look, here's something. Write down what you want. Okay, said it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 more. The hardest thing you'll ever do is working out what you want. Paint that picture. Accept that it's going to be hard. You're not going to get it right. Yes, you can, write it down, commit to it, and then change it, slightly. Don't just go away from it. And I don't think you did the work to create what you want. But, over time, you can come away from it bits by bit by bit. Paint that picture and revisit it. So paint what you want. Let's just call it a 7-figure business for ease with 35% with 30% net margins. $1 million business with 30% net margins. Okay, boom. Revisit that 3 times a day. And remember, when you revisit it, you might want to shut your eyes, look up slightly, call it 10 degrees, and look over to the left, and make it big. And don't, and again, that 7-figure. I'm going to assume that you're at 350. Like let's not make a lame goal. If you're like at 800 grand, I don't know that $1 million is that inspiring goal, unless the 30% margins. You're playing with lesser margins, so you want to have 35. And by the way, you're, as business coaches, one of the reasons you should love this industry, that I love this industry, that I bring people into it, is margins, by the way, because we make massive margins, which is amazing, because there's very few overheads, right? The local restaurant doesn't have that good fortune. The local chiropractor doesn't have that good fortune. The dentist, they've got CapEx on steroids, with all the machinery, et cetera. CapEx, that's, if you drive, if you have a landscaping company, you got to replace the lawn mowing machines, right? That's where, like Uber, I've often talked about this and kind of joked about it in the book, and that, like an Uber driver that thinks he made 100 grand or she made 100 grand last year, it's just so ridiculous because they can't read financial statements. If you made 100 grand as an Uber driver, I'm going to show you somebody that has to replace their car soon. Okay, so you need to factor that in. So it's not nearly as profitable as you'd like to think. But anyway, so what do you want? Paint that picture, accept that it's hard, and then revisit it over and over and over again. Look, no, that's not clear enough. Revisit it 3 times a day. Okay. So, folks, I hope that provided some value. Remember, if you go and Zen out with your clients, I don't know how interested they're going to be, but I do think when, I do think it's something that they need, but it's not something they realize they want, right? So it's kind of one of those things where, yeah, I'll help you generate leads. Yeah, I'm going to help you make more money. Yeah, I'm going to help you get to $1 million. Yeah, I'm going to help you X, Y, Z. And in actual fact, zenning out is something they really, really love the idea of. Okay, so there you go. All right, folks, I appreciate you sticking around. I appreciate you listening. God bless, and I'll see you next week with Road Dog. Toodaloo.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.